Hello friends, welcome back to the James Lawrence Allcott channel. A couple of things I've got to say. First of all, yes, come on, we did it. We hit 200,000 subscribers on the channel. We don't stop here, we keep moving forward. So if you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. For everyone who has done, thank you so much. I want to do something to reward you guys and just to maybe, I don't know, it sounds wanky, but like give back in some kind of way. So I'm thinking of some kind of live stream, maybe where you guys just ask questions about YouTube. I like maybe talk to and help and have a look at some people's channels, because you guys are going to be starting on your journey. And yeah, okay, maybe I'm a little bit further ahead on it, but I get a lot of messages from people and I can't reply to them all. So maybe this could be something that we could do. That's something for that. And also I want to treat some people as well. So I'm going to try and sort that out. Thank you once again, everyone who's got involved. This is the Fallout. If you're new to the Fallout, this is where we have a look at some of the tactical elements from each game week. And game week 3 was really interesting, some amazing games. And let's get straight into this with Newcastle versus Man City. Now, first question is, should teams attack Man City? Because if we have a look at SofaScore, link is in the description if you want to get SofaScore. It's the app that I use the most by far. When you think of Man City and the games that they play, let's just have a look at the Premier League games. Look at the momentum bar. Look at that momentum bar, okay? Utter dominance. We'll go back. I'm literally doing this one off the cuff, by the way, because I just know what the case is. Look at that momentum bar. If we go back to last season as well, I mean, maybe it's a little bit different with, you know, games like Liverpool or, you know, teams that are sort of middling, right? It's going to be very different. Last season, Wolves, I'll just click on it. Again, utter dominance from Man City time and again. So let's have a look at this game, because Newcastle, they had, I'm gonna have to bleep this in an edit now, this is gonna take me time, but they had a go, and that's great. It's so nice to see. And there's some interesting things that I'm kind of spotting here, where, you know, that space in behind a fullback in those wide areas, everyone's sort of inverting fullbacks or wanting to use the fullbacks. The fullbacks are so important that actually teams are starting to go, okay, well, let's turn what you think is your strength into a weakness. And that's what happened here for Newcastle. They certainly utilised their strengths as well. Let's get into this game there, because the final one here, importantly, sorry, is that the momentum bar for Newcastle is so much stronger than we really see. But this is a moment. This is a bit of a moment for Newcastle, especially at home. They are just so scary at home. Also important to say, if I tap on it here, you can see where the goals were scored. And for Newcastle to concede so early on, but to sort of get back on their feet and then sort of have that real push. And of course, the goals came in those important moments, and that does make a difference. You've got to have a goalkeeper who makes some big saves as well. And Pope had a fantastic game for them. 21 shots to 12. That doesn't tell the whole story, because ultimately, I think the important thing is that to get 6 shots on target, to have 4 big chances in a game for Newcastle, I think is really pretty impressive. But the big question is, how did they do it? The XG on this game as well, by the way, 2.02 to 2.20. So pretty similar. Really strong from Newcastle. And what Eddie Howe said, which I thought was really important, is it starts with mentality, and then the mentality to show that little bit of bravery as well. So here we go. Let's have a look at the average positions first and foremost. Just give a little screen, get a little screenshot, get a little screenshot. The left-hand side was really important, really important in this game, because it was brave. Look, I think we thought this was going to happen. We saw it in pre-season, and it was Target playing on that left-hand side. But this understanding that there would be those 3 that stay back, and Trippier, you'd look to allow him to get on that little bit more. There's 2 reasons for that. One, Trippier's great going forward. And you want him in those positions where he can, you know, hurt the opposition with his crossing and all that. Second thing is, I think the right wing position is still a bit of a problem for them. But probably most importantly, in terms of retaining balance for the team, you want to get Alan St-Maximin higher up the pitch. And that is what Newcastle were able to do. And it made it very difficult for Kyle Walker, who didn't really know what to do. Kyle Walker himself would want to come play in sort of narrow positions and got caught in between a couple of players at times. Dan Burn stayed back and said, off you go, do your thing. But the big person here, you know what's coming, Newcastle. Yeah, you know what's coming. Who's the most important here? My boy, my sweet buttery biscuit base that is Joelinton. Because Joelinton allows St. Maximin the space because they don't get hurt on transition like they would do. Because if it's just one player there and you've got Joelinton scrabbling about, you know, and importantly, he was crucial in terms of progressive carries. He's become such an important player on that left-hand side. But because he facilitates Alan St. Maximin, because Alan St. Maximin doesn't have to worry as much about going the other way. And it means that he's able to get on the ball in really, really important positions. 5 recoveries, 3 interceptions, 2 clearances from Joelinton. And the big thing for me when it comes to Joelinton is not this way, which he's useful. He is useful. It's this way. The way that he gets back, the energy that he shows working backwards, it can't go unnoticed. It can't go unnoticed. And it's so important because it helps the rest of the team. Let me show you some of the heat maps for Newcastle as well. We're going to go big on Newcastle in this one because they deserve the credit for it. They really do. Concentrating on that left-hand side, again, Kyle Walker, normally he'll just... The interesting thing here is when he did get on the ball, and St. Maximin, you can see he wants to come in these narrow areas, but he kind of got caught in between the two, and he let him turn at times. And that's where you're going, because normally Kyle Walker goes, okay, run at me. What are you going to do? But Alan St. Maximin, 2 assists, 3 out of his 5 dribbles were completed, 4 key passes. Let me show you it. 2 out of his 2 crosses were accurate, 2 big chances created as well. And importantly, let's get another screenshot again, because it's where he's getting the ball. That's the important thing here. He's getting the ball in this area of the pitch. You don't see that often with any team against Manchester City. Really, really impressive. Look, it's risky. It's one where on another day it could hurt you a little bit. But I think overall, especially when you're playing one up top. And again, let me show you Joelinton, his heat map. Him being that sort of halfway house and staying to that left-hand side. So important for the team. So important. I thought Botman was really impressive. Dan Burn was really impressive. I thought overall, it was just a really good game. And it gave me a bit of hope. And here's a question for you guys. Which teams can play that way, have a go and beat Manchester City? Because I think the one thing that I would say is that not every team can do this. I think there's sort of a tipping point in terms of quality. And I think Newcastle, just on the right side, with that element of momentum that they've got right now, playing at home as well, it allows them to sort of have a go at it. And the important thing here is that you're able to sort of isolate out wide the centre-backs who don't want to be driven backwards. That is the big thing with Man City. They will go back. They will go back because they often have a lot of players like further up the pitch. And that's what Alan St. Maximin and this Newcastle side were able to do. Really good in transition, really direct, but really positive as well. So in terms of the other teams that can do it, I'm thinking you've got to be good on the ball as well. You've got to be a bit press-proof. But the likes of, your Chelsea's, Tottenham very good in transition. We saw that last season. Liverpool, of course, could do it as well. Arsenal could do it as well. But actually, do you know what? Keep an eye out for Crystal Palace this year. And keep an eye out for Brighton this year as well, because I wonder if they could hurt them. But you saw what West Ham did, which was sort of curl up in a ball, ultimately. And it obviously didn't work. So there is something in this. But what I would say is, if you are Bournemouth, just, curl up into a ball, because it's not always going to work. But it was refreshing, wasn't it, to see? Next up, we need to talk about who's going to be the first manager to go, because it's inevitable. It happens every season. And for me, there's 3 contenders here. One is a bit of a stretch, but doesn't feel right. Chelsea, Tuchel, Brendan Rodgers, and Steven Gerrard. Let's start off with Steven Gerrard. Crystal Palace 3, Aston Villa 1, the XG 2.69 to 0.90, and Steven Gerrard's struggling here because he's gone down a road tactically, which is absolutely fine. You need to have a style of play, but it's just not working. It's really, really not working, and Crystal Palace absolutely took them apart. They provided a blueprint for other teams to take them apart. We've spoken about it. Look at the previous episodes of The Fallout, talking about these midfield players in Jacob Ramsey and John McGinn, who we're not saying they're bad players at all, but they're not creating. They are not creating at this moment in time. We'll talk about the average positions in a second because I think they're incredibly enlightening as well. But first, well, actually, let's go there first because I think it's important. Because the thing is here, if I just zoom in on Aston Villa, is it's flat. You want to play with the fullbacks. You want to play with those fullbacks high. But you've also got two centre-backs who are completely left on their own here. And importantly, those forwards are so far away from the midfield. It's not interconnected. You've got Buendia, the number 10, coming back too deep to get on the ball. And Ramsey and McGinn, I've got to say it again, I'm afraid. And again, I like these two. I really do. But Jacob Ramsey, what's he great at? Sorry, let me just take this off. What is he great at, Jacob Ramsey? He's great at getting on the ball and dribbling with it. He's had 2 dribble attempts in the whole game. One of those being successful. Got a key pass out of him, 1 key pass out of him, great. His pass accuracy, okay, 90%, right? Now John McGinn on the other side. No key passes. 71% pass accuracy. No dribble attempts at all. And these are players who are kind of supposed to be sort of playing on the sides, right? But they should be, a screenshot, they should be so much higher up. You know, if this system's working far better, you've got Jacob Ramsey a little bit higher up, McGinn a bit higher up. You know, you've got probably the fullback, you've got the whole team basically higher up, and maybe Buendia getting into all sorts of different pockets of space and getting on the ball there as well. Or maybe sort of going beyond and finding it. Same things, right? If you had that starting point. Or let those two go, right? Fine, and he's in that pocket of space there. But what we have here just doesn't work for me at this moment in time. And it's the same problem. That's with the ball. Without the ball, it's a real problem as well, because as you see, Palace sort of picking them apart. I think Palace, as I've said a few times, are going to be a really, really strong team this year. And they really went for the spaces in behind the fullbacks. Palace created 5 big chances in this game and just highlighted the weaknesses, really exposed Villa's weaknesses in this game, with the likes of Zaha, Ayew, Eze getting involved and sort of staying over to that left-hand side. Eze and Zaha in particular, I think, like we were talking about with sort of fullbacks and inverted fullbacks and kind of using this space here. Just draw it super quickly. This space here, there's a possibility to hurt teams, especially when they kind of play with sort of two centre-backs left on their own. And the problem with Villa is they don't have the players good enough to do that. So just to highlight it, Zaha staying out wide, getting in behind the fullbacks who are wanting to bomb on for them. Eze as well, getting over on that side as well. And just really, really exposing them. You know, good technical players. You're creating overloads. You're able to get around them. You also got players who are willing to drive in behind as well. Ayew doing a similar thing on that right-hand side as well. And then you're left with Tyrone Mings and Ezri Konsa, who are just, you know, if this is Liverpool, again, there'd be more structure because they'd be better on the ball, more progressive with the ball, and it would have a bit more symmetry to it. But in terms of how exposed those two are, because the fullbacks want to get on, they're not good enough. They're not good enough. And so you're just going to get cut apart. They're going to get absolutely cut apart because you're overloading those wide areas. I would suggest playing a 3-5-2. The problem is, have you got the centre-backs now with Diego Carlos? Because if you really want to utilise those wing-backs, then that's the route out of it. I wonder. I just don't see it working right now. And what's scary for a lot of managers is that after a couple of games where it's not working, you've got to change it. You've got to be brave enough to change it. And when you've been trying to get this message across that, no, this is the way, this is the way, this is the way, if it doesn't work, then no, that's a bit scary. And you might lose a bit of gravitas, a bit of power within the dressing room. That would be my concern. And the Villa fans aren't happy with the performances right now. But something needs to change here. It feels like you've got people in sort of key positions, but it's not stitched together the way that Gerrard would want it to and the way that he would have envisaged it as well. Because at the moment, Villa are too easy to play, don't score enough goals, conceding too many. And yeah, I think they've invested too much in him at this moment in time, so he's got time, but that won't last forever because in terms of squads, this is a top 10 squad. On to Leicester City and Brendan Rodgers, and do you know what? Look, if this was one game, I think you let it go, right? So, first of all, and this is important, I think, again, the momentum bars is saying a lot this week. Leicester comfortable, really. You know, controlling the game, get their goal from Maddison, great free kick, guys on fire at the moment in this moment in time. But then Southampton, who we'll talk about in a second, this is the third game in a row that Leicester City have conceded after the 75th minute. And I know it was a problem last season as well. You can label this Leicester City team soft. You know, and it's the basics that's really hurting them. There's no doubt there's quality in that squad. I know, obviously, losing a few, there's a bit of turmoil there. There's problems with contracts. There's a real disjointedness because, obviously, there is quality there. But the Foxes have only totaled 1.2 XG so far this season. This season, right? Last season, they were averaging 1.34 per game. So, look, it's a tight game. 6 shots to 9. They had the possession, as I said, had an element of control, but just completely fell off a cliff after, you know, in that last sort of 25 minutes of the game. You know, and Jamie Vardy had an absolute stinker in this game. I'm not really sure where they're sort of going with him at this moment, because you would think about him as being advanced forward, running those channels. And he was trying to do that, but you see him here, the number 9. Just had nothing in the game, did very, very little. I think he had 1 shot off target. There you go. 11 touches in the game itself. So they're not able to find him at this moment in time, which is unacceptable, in my opinion, when you've got the midfielders that they've got on the pitch. And it just feels flat-footed. And as I say, when it comes to the basics defensively, they're really, really hurting themselves. Last season, we know about the set pieces and the problems there. It's carrying on this year. The first goal... First of all, indeed, it's embarrassing. Check this screenshot out. He's just missing the ball, just completely led. It's just loose, and they're being led by the opposition. And at the elite level, you've got to be smarter than that. But also, if you look at the body language of everyone there, the body language of everyone there is flat-footed, and they're not switched on. They're not sensing danger. There's enough bodies in there, but it's not about desire. It feels jaded to me. That's the thing. So I think they end up wilting that little bit, right? And then the last goal, again, there's enough bodies in the box there to be sorting this out, really. Amazing finish, no doubt. Great cross from James Ward-Prowse. And Kyle Walker-Peters, you can see him up there throughout the game. He was really, really high up, actually. Let me just show you him. We're talking FPL sometimes. Kyle Walker-Peters, keep an eye on that. Look how high he is during the game. They sort of let Djenepo, was it Djenepo? Yeah, stayed back on the left-hand side. Kyle Walker bombing on for them. But it's just, they should be touch tight. It should be aggressive when we're looking at screenshots like that. It shouldn't be as easy as that. And that is a massive problem. And this has been going on for a long time under Brendan Rodgers. I like him. I like a lot of the players in the squad. But this is one that feels like if it doesn't get sorted soon, you've got Chelsea next. I think Man United coming up as well, which is that a tough game or not? We'll see. But they should have 6 points. And that needs to change quickly. And I don't think you should make, knee-jerk thoughts on a manager until 5, 6, 7 games. But I guess it's a middling team. Does he have the energy? When he's talking about after the game, he's talking about the opposition and just complimenting them. He should be angry at this is unacceptable. Not creating enough. And it's just easy, lax goals. So that's a worry for me if I'm a Leicester City fan, which I'm not. But if I was, then I would be. Makes sense. Southampton, other side of it. This is 2 games on the trot now where they've not wilted, they've gone behind, and I think this says something about them. It's actually a problem as well as a sort of a good thing. 2-0 down against Leeds United, came back, overturning a 1-goal deficit here. It feels like they need that freedom of we best just go for it now. And that way they're not concentrating on defending, concentrating on losing a lead, whatever it might be. I think that something needs to change in terms of the mentality of this team, and they have to have a bit more of a go at it if they are to kind of win games, because it's nice, but if it's often too late, other teams that aren't as porous as Leicester City or flat-footed as Leicester City right now, they will sort of win those games. But for a Southampton team that has, in previous years, fallen away in the second half of games, that is a bright spark for them for sure. And the last manager, Thomas Tuchel, again, just one that doesn't totally feel right. Obviously, they were very, very good against Spurs last week. This week, I think actually you've got to give Leeds the credit here, because I think Jesse Marsh has got a team here where we talk about pressing, and I've been thinking about this. Maybe we'll do a video on pressing, because you just say pressing and you think that's good. Last year with Bielsa, the pressing wasn't good because it was too much and teams were able to figure them out, work around them, and then they were out of position. With this sort of recovery and repress idea with Jesse Marsch, it's just a lot more consistent and cautious, maybe, because you're sort of going at people and trying to make them, make mistakes. But if they do get around you, you've got a plan B. Importantly, though, Leeds covered, at one point it was 11k. At the end of the game, they ran over 10k more than Chelsea. And that does say a lot, I think, especially when you kind of look at that element of pressing. First of all, kind of doing it correctly, but getting yourself back in the right position. Because when we look at the average position, you can see with Chelsea here that they kind of are where they would like to be. If you think of the game last week, it's pretty similar. But Reece James and Cucurella, you want them to be higher up the pitch. They're all in a very, very safe zone from Leeds. So it's one of those where they were able to sort of bypass the press at times. The team worked so hard to get back and get themselves in a good position again that when we look at Leeds, the play was always in front of them, especially those two centre-backs, because of the work of the rest of the team. And that needs to be absolutely applauded. Jesse Marsch did brilliantly there as well. And it meant that they weren't as effective. Reece James, we're talking about him as a right-sided centre-back. Really, he's still playing full-back and getting on. But as a team, didn't create much at all. 61% possession, 14 shots, 3 on target, but importantly, not a single big chance. Look a little bit further down, 3 big chances for Leeds. Now look, there are moments in a game which, the Mendy one, obviously, Koulibaly getting sent off. These are all lovely little moments that allow you to get over the line. But Leeds look well drilled. They know what they're doing. They've got Rodrigo's fortunately found a little bit of form as well and looks like he's finishing brilliantly. And in Jack Harrison, I think because they're so well drilled, he's able to stay high and wide. Again, talking about that theme of, getting into a place that's sort of awkward for the opposition's effective attacking players. And in Jack Harrison then being an outball for the team behind Reece James, that sort of can keep him pinned back that little bit. And I thought that was impressive. One thing I did want to talk about, because I said this a while ago, I don't know how Conor Gallagher plays in this team. I just don't really know how he fits into it. And he played in this game. And the way I wanted to sort of reflect that is that because he's a great player. Conor Gallagher is a really, really good player. But if we look at Conor Gallagher and look at his full profile here and look at his statistics, this is the game here. And this is sort of areas of the pitch that he's been playing in for Chelsea this year. And sometimes you've got to be playing in the role that works for you, right? I think profiles are so important in football. You can't just go, isn't that blueprint textbook 4-4-2 anymore? So with Conor Gallagher, I just don't see where he fits, because if we have a look at his heat map from Palace last season, where we know he had a really good season, where it's strong and red there, it's because, and we'll look at individual games, it's because he was that sort of pressing forward. It wasn't about getting the ball and being that pivot player. He's a box-to-box midfielder, and getting into the penalty box. You can see it there. Getting into the penalty box. Less so there, right? But higher up the pitch and not picking it up. And in this game, he struggled. And you just wonder if Kovacic and Kante are playing in this game, is it a different story? Possibly. And again, I don't want to make it about him, but his accurate passing being 76% is not what you want for someone in a double pivot. And he struggled. He did struggle. And it's one to keep an eye on, because, should they have just sold him? I know I've had a go at Chelsea in the past where it's like, why are you selling all your great assets? If they don't fit the way that you play, then maybe let him go whilst his stock's high. I wonder if they might make that move, because they lost this game because of the midfield, in my opinion. And further up the pitch, Raheem Sterling he's in nice spaces, but I think you want him wider. I think you'll see the best of him there. There's no one really getting in behind this Leeds United side. It was pretty easy for them. Initially, they played all right, and then Leeds went, okay, let's drop back a little bit, and then they were absolutely fine. So Thomas Tuchel's got some problems here, and he needs to fix it pretty quickly, because the Mount, Havertz, Raheem Sterling triumvirate isn't flowing just yet. And if you don't have that control, you can't have that overload of 5 with Cucurella, Reece James. So lots to work on for Chelsea at the moment. Fulham 3, Brentford 2. Let's talk about Fulham, because they're no mugs. Yeah, I think we all had them going down, and I've got to be honest, I think there could be some upsets here because Fulham in particular scored in the first minute, scored in the 90th minute, and were pretty decent throughout, to be honest, and creating a lot. And the thing I'm delighted with, and it could have backfired, but now you sort of see it happen. They're going for it, but they're not putting, Silva's not putting the handbrake on because they're in the Premier League now. He believes they've got enough quality to go and win games. And what we're seeing with Mitrovic is what we saw in the Championship, where if you provide that width and you've got a little bit of quality in and around it, when those crosses come in, it's a bit more spacious in that penalty box. And that's where Mitrovic can bully the opposition, and did so with a absolutely cracking goal. That, of course, got them the victory. And the one player I really wanted to focus on, and I know a lot of people got him in their FPL teams, Andreas Pereira, because him and Mitrovic, and to be honest, that whole sort of attacking front four, they are going for it that little bit. But Pereira in particular, nice little partnership there with Mitrovic. I think he's quite complete in terms of an attacking midfielder because, set pieces, wants to get on the ball, creates as well, created 4 chances in this game, registered an assist, made a total of 8 passes into the final third in the match as well. As I say, he's really embraced that role as an attacking midfielder for the team, developing that nice relationship with Mitrovic, and also importantly, made a total of 5 recoveries and 2 tackles as well. So Andreas Pereira is looking like a really good buy, and it's a dangerous one when you buy a player from a big club because they might not have the hunger. But Fulham, as I say, no mugs, and might just do something this year and be just fine. Again, we spoke about it the other week. Palhinha being that pivot there that allows the rest of the team to sort of spread out and get on the ball, makes it harder for the opposition. It provides control. And with Harry Wilson on his way back soon, I think the goals are there for them and they might be just fine. And West Ham fans, it's okay. Let's talk. Now, there's been some sort of lazy comments, in my opinion, from people kind of going, oh, West Ham rubbish this season because they ain't scored a goal yet. Fair enough. It's probably not lazy. It's just like, it's top line. Now, do not panic, West Ham fans. I'm here to say it. It's fine. You're going to be fine. You've played 3 games so far. Man City, expecting anything from that? Nottingham Forest, you battered them. And it was one of those where it's a newly promoted team. The buzz is there. It just didn't go your way. You're missing a penalty in this game. Goals disallowed. XG's through the roof. And yes, you've not scored a goal just yet. Your XG is 3.6, which is starting to get silly now. And then you play a Brighton side, who, again, on the face of it, Brighton, not a big club. But Brighton are well good. Brighton are really, 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 really good. Brighton will finish... I mean, I say this about a lot of clubs now, but Brighton could easily finish top 10. Could easily finish 7th this season. They're like and it was a tight game. At home, you want to be winning those games. I get the frustration. I get it. Now, and the big difference there, the 3 big chances for them. But they're a good team. Really, really good team. Don't worry. You will pump someone very, very soon. Yes, there's Europe. Get it. There was Europe last year. The team's durable. The squad's better. Kira was rusty for that penalty. Welbeck is in wonderful, wonderful form as well. So give credit to the opposition where it's available to them. And again, this Brighton side, like the back 3, it's like really so expressive how they're playing. This is a really well-coached team. So don't panic. Okay, West Ham fans? Enjoy your week. Safe in the knowledge. David Moyes will sort this out. Okay? He will sort this out. You will beat someone 4-0. And when it does happen, remember you heard it on the Fallout first, okay? But who you got next? Hang on. Who you got next? Figure it out. It's fine. Honestly, guys, it's going to be absolutely... Just wait 1 second. Can you just wait 1 minute?
You're going to be absolutely... Who have you got next? I bet. Come on. I bet. You're winning next game. Honestly. Viable. There you go. Villa. Result.
I bet you win 2 of the next 3. It's punchy. I know. You got Spurs and you got Chelsea in that. Don't panic. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, hit the like button. Enjoy your week. Dominate your week. I believe in you. It's going to be a good one. Thanks again for helping me get to 200k. We carry on to move forward and we look to 250. So hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. I'll see you next time.